Hello to all. Thank you for coming, albeit through the ether, to our fabulous festival. Hello, Miles Kuhn, the director. Hello, Susan. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is an important reading, the Thomas Lux memorial reading. Thomas Lux lives in this festival, and his memory is very much alive with us all. Please allow us and allow me for no longer than maybe 30, 40 seconds to read to you one minuscule percent of my favorite Yusef Komunyakaa lines or sentences. The 7 o'clock whistle made the air fulvous with a metallic syncopation, a key to the door in the sky. She was 7 and I was 5 when she ran up to me like a cat with a gypsy moth in its mouth, and we played doctor and house under the low branches of a rain tree encircled with red rhododendrons. Perception can force you to crawl on God's great damn stone floor and scrape your knees to the bone in love with the smooth, round ass of death. Yeah, honey, I know something about talking to ghosts. My ego, if crystallized, would fit into the eye socket of a hummingbird. I think she knows with her kisses in my mouth, I could walk on water. And these are just a few images and a few sounds and a few incredible metaphors of the work of Pulitzer Prize-winning Yusef Komunyakaa. He also won the Ruth Lilly Poetry Prize, the Wallace Stephen Award, and many, many more prestigious awards. And they would take much too long and much too much time to enumerate here. And I'd much rather spend that time listening with you to Komunyakaa's resonant, cadenced, important, image-rich, poignant, full-voiced, and indispensable poems. I'm grateful and pleased to welcome him among us at the Palm Beach Poetry Festival. Welcome and thank you, Yusef.
I am honored to be here to this reading because it celebrates Thomas Lux. He was amazing. It was a kind of casual genius. The first poem I'm going to read is titled Camouflaging the Camaro. We tied branches to our helmets. We painted our faces and rifles with mud from a riverbank. Blades of grass hung from the pockets of our tiger suits. We wove ourselves into the terrain, content to be a hummingbird's target. We hugged bamboo and leaned against a breeze off the river. Slow dragging with ghosts from Saigon to Bangkok, with women left in doorways, reaching in from America. We aimed at dark-hearted songbirds of a way station of shadows. Rock apes tried to blow our cover, throwing stones at the sunset. Chameleons crawl our spines, changing from day to night, green to gold, gold to black. But we waited till the moon touched metal, till something almost broke inside us. VC struggled with the hillside like black silk, wrestling iron through grass. We weren't there. The river ran through our bones. Small animals took refuge against our bodies. We held our breath, ready to spring the L-shaped ambush as the world revolved under each man's eyelid. I want to say that I had to write about Vietnam before I discovered I should also write about Magic City. I'll read just one more Vietnam-related poem. It's titled, Thanks. Thanks for the tree between me and a sniper's bullet. I don't know what made the grass wait seconds before the Viet Cong raised his rifle. Some voice always followed, telling me which foot to put down first. Thanks for deflecting the ricochet against that anarchy of dust. I was back in San Francisco, wrapped up in a woman's wild colors, causing some dark bird's love call to be shouted by daylight when my hands reached up and pulled a branch away from my face. Thanks for the vague white flower that pointed to the gleaming metal, reflecting how it is to be broken like mist over the grass. As we played some deadly game for blind gods, what made me spot the monarch, writhing on a single thread tied to a farmer's gate, holding the day together like an unfingered guitar string, is beyond me. Maybe the hills grew weary and leaned a little in the heat. Again, thanks for the dead hand grenade tossed at my feet outside Chulai. I'm still falling through its silence. I don't know why the intrepid sun touched the bayonet, but I know that something moved among those trees. It moved only when I moved. Venus's flytraps. I said basically that writing about Vietnam sort of prompted me to discover or rediscover the essence of poetry. Venus's flytrap. I am 5, wading out into deep sunny grass, unmouthed snakes in yellow jackets, out to yellow flowers quivering in sluggish heat. Don't mess with me, because I have my Lone Ranger 6-shooter. I can hurt you with questions like silver bullets. The tall flowers in my dreams are big as the First State Bank, and they eat all the people except the ones I love. They have women's names with mouths where babies come from. I am 5. I'll dance for you if you close your eyes. No peeping through your fingers. I don't suppose to be this close to the tracks. One afternoon I saw what a train did to a cow. Sometimes I stand so close, I can see the eyes of men hiding in boxcars. Sometimes they wave and holler for me to get back. I laugh when trains make the dogs howl. Their ears hurt. I also know bees can't live without flowers. I wonder why Daddy calls Mama honey. All the bees in the world live in little white houses, except the ones in these flowers, all sticky and sweet inside. I wonder what death tastes like. Sometimes I toss the butterflies back into the air. I wish I knew why. The music in my head makes me scared, but I know things I don't supposed to know. I could start walking and never stop. These yellow flowers go on forever, almost to Detroit, almost to the sea, My mama says I'm a mistake, that I made her a bad girl. My playhouse is underneath of a house, and I hear people telling each other secrets. And this is the last poem that I'm going to read from the earlier poems published in Bliumis-Dunn. Anodyne. I love how it swells into a temple where it is held prisoner, where the god of blame resides. I love slopes and peaks, the secret paths that make me selfish. I love my crooked feet, shaped by vanity and work shoes made to outlast belief. The hardness, coupling milk, it can't fashion. I love the lips, salt and honeycomb on the tongue, the hair pulling off rain and snow, the white moons on my fingernails. I love how everything begs blood into song and prayer inside an egg. A ghost hums through my bones like Pan's midnight flute, shaping internal laws beside a troubled river. I love this body made to weather the storm in the brain, raised out of the deep smell of fish and water hyacinth, out of rapture and the first regret. I love my big hands. I love it clear down to the soft, quick motor of each breath, the liver's 10 kinds of desire, and the kidneys lust for sugar, the skin, the sack of dung and joy, the spleen floating like a compass needle inside nighttime, always divining West Africa's dusty horizon. I love the birthmark, posed like a fighting cock on my right shoulder blade. I love this body, this solo, the ragtime jubilee behind the left nipple, because I knew I was born to wear out at least 100 angels. My definition of poetry is celebration and confrontation. And I've gone across that emotional map. I published a book called Night Animals. It's a chapbook, and I'm just going to read 2 poems from that book. First is The Blue Hour. A procession begins in the blue-black gratitude between worlds, and the rebirth brass band marches out of what little light is left among the magnolia blooms. Step here, and one steps off the edge of the world. Step there, and one enters the unholy hour, where one face bleeds into another as a horse-drawn buggy rolls out of the last century, and the red-eyed 17-year locust grows deeper into the old hushed soil. Lean this way, blue insinuation takes over the body. Step here, and one shadow stops digging its grave to gaze out at the evening star. Or, at this moment, less than a half step between day and night, birdhouses stand like totems against the sky. A flicker of wings and eyes, mockingbirds arrive with stolen songs and cries, their unspeakable lives and omens, as if they are some minor god's only true instrument and broken way on stage in the indigo air. They come as uh-huh and yeah, a few human words to white boxes on 12-foot poles, to where each round door hole is a way in and a way out of oblivion. Okay. Title of this poem is Several Mysteries of the Platypus. She tries to hide in the swish of wet grass because she remembers the first man, like a wound, an old scar, a howl in the hush. Her skin is too tough for the marketplace. Otherwise, she would have fallen under a bullet or a knife. She came from an old world, a prototype, the first shimmer, pieced together by a prankish god, that first moment of light seeping from the cave, and oath written on her back by the edge of a flood. Before she slipped from the egg, she knew a human face would make her heart explode into a clutch of stars. Okay. I'm going to read from the most recent collection, Everyday Mojo Songs of Earth. I should also say that in January of 2018, I had a stroke, and it's interesting to go across the whole body of work and try and surprise myself still. The first poem in the new collection is titled The World of Daughters. Say, lick clean at birth, say, weeping in the tall grass where this tantalizing song begins. Birds poise on a crooked branch over a grave of an unending track into the valley of cooling waters. Lessons of earth, old questions on more the first tongue say, I have gone back, says the oracle, counting seasons and centuries, undoing fault lines between one generation and next. As she twirls sackcloth edged with pollen, and one glimpses what one did not know. Say, this is where the goat was asked to speak legends ago, to kneel and deliver a sacrifice. To film of truth depends on how and why the single song fits into the mouth. Well, I believe the borrowed rib story is the other way round. Entangled in decree, blessing, law, and myth. One only has to listen to night-long pleas of a mother who used all thousand chants and prayers of clay, red ochre blown from the mouth upon the high stone wall. Retracing a found a land bridge to Wishbone. My own two daughters and granddaughters my own 2 daughters and granddaughter. The 3 know how to work, praise, and lament, ready to sprout wings of naked flight and labor. Yes, hinge into earth. We rose from lucid to clan, from clan to tribe, and today we worship her some polished bones, remembering she is made of questions. No, mama is not always the first word before counting eggs in the cowbird's nest. He begins in memory. Now say her name, said Danknish, mother of us all. Slingshot. A boy's bicycle inner tube, red as inside the body. A well-chosen pocket limb sawed from a scrub oak. And then an hour-long squint to get it right. The taut pull is everything. There's nothing without resistance. And the day holds the hard, slow, steady, honing flips a beetle on his back, but the boy refuses to squash it. He continues with his work. Summer rambles into a quiet quadrant of dogwood and gum. A girl he's too shy to tell his name, stands in damp light, near and dark, and biting a corner of his lip, he whittles the true stock, knowing wrong from right, though Pythagoras owned a simple truth. The boy untangles a triangle of pull within a triangle of release, and the slingshot's tongue torn out of an old army boot. And Lord, what a perfect fit. Feet spread apart, the boy straddles an imaginary line, settling quietly into himself as the balance and pull travel down through his fingers, forearm, elbow, into muscle, up through his shoulder blades, neck, mouth, set of the jaw, into the register of the brain, saying, take a breath and inhale slowly. Then let the stone fly, as if it has swallowed a stone. And that is when the boy knows his body is a compass, a cross. I want to read sort of a longish poem. It's called A Prayer for Workers. I wrote this for Penn some years ago. Bless the woman, band, and child who honor earth by opening shine inside the soil, displayed hour between dampness and dust, to plant seedlings in double furrows and then pray for cooling rain. Bless the fields, the catch, the hunt, and the wild fruit, and let no one go hungry tonight or tomorrow. Let the wind and birds seed a future fair into villages and towns the other side of mountains along nameless rivers. Bless those born with hands made to grapple, hewn timbers and stones raised from earth and shaped in circles, who know the geometry of corners, and bless and please lever the foundation and pitch a roof, so good work isn't diminished by rain. Bless the farmer with clouds in his head, who lugs basket of dung, so termites can carve their hives that hold rain long after a downpour has gone across the desert and seeds sprout into a contiguous greening. Bless the iridescent beetle working to haul the heavens down, to journey from red moon dust to excrement. The wedge slave, 2 steps from Dickens, tenement among a den of thieves, blind soothsayers who know shambles where migrants feather the nests of straw boss as the stone cutters perfect profiles of Robert barons in granite and marble in town squares, along highways headed for Hollywood. Bless souls laboring in sweatshops, and each calabash dip of water, the major and minor litanies and glanga dangling from promises at the mouth of the cave. The catcher of vipers at dawn in the canebrake and flowering fields, not for love of money, but for bread and clabber on a thick gray slab table, for the simple blessings in the hammock of the storytellers, drunk on grog. Bless the cobbler, molding leather on his organ last meeting, softness, and give into a red shoe and a work boot, never given more to one than the other, and also the weaver with closed eyes, whose fingers play the ties and loops as if nothing else matters. Daybreak to sunset, as gritty stories of a people grow into an epic stitched down through the ages. The outsider artists go on from twined and hew, cut and tag, an ironmonger's credo of steam rising from buckets and metal dust, the clang of a hammer against an anvil, the ragtag ones, a whole motley crew at the end of the line, singing ballads and keeping time on a battered tin drum. Okay, moving from one zone to the next. Okay, Ode to the Maggot. I want to say that I wrote 132 of these 16-line poems. And what I would do is actually write the poem in my head with the line breaks and all, and then go and write the poem down on paper. So it was a way of trying to discover a prosody within our grave understanding about time and the shape that ideas assume. Ode to the Maggot. Brother of the blowfly and Godhead, you work magic over battlefields and slabs of bad pork and flop houses. Yes, you go to the root of all things. You are sound and mathematical. Jesus Christ, you are merciless with the truth. Ontological and lustrous, you cast spells on beggars and kings. Behind the stone door, a Caesar's tomb, a split trench, and a field of ragweed. No decree or creed can outlaw you as you take every living thing apart. Little master of earth, no one gets to heaven without going through you first. These are images that I have really been raking with for the last 2 or 3 years. And I walk around with them in my psyche. Venus of Willenforth. She's big as a man's fist, big as a black pepper shaker, filled with gree dust, like 2 fat galeolas bulbs, drowned into a bus of twilight, lumpy and fertile, earthy and egg shaped. She's pregnant with all the bloomy hosannas of love hunger, beautiful in a way that forces us to look at the ground. The squat Venus in her braided helmet is carved from a hunk of limestone shaped into a blues singer. In her big smallness, she makes us kneel. Black figs. I'm going to change my mind and read Cape Coast Castle instead, and then Black figs. Cape Coast Castle. I made love to you, and it loomed there. We sat on the small veranda of the cottage and listened hours to the sea talk. I didn't have to look up to see if it was still there. For days, it followed us around polluted beaches where the boys herded cows and the girls danced for the boys, to the money changer, and then to the marketplace. It went away when the ghost of my mother found me sitting beneath a palm, but was in the van with us on a road trip to the country as we zoomed past thatch houses. It was definitely there when a few dollars exchanged hands and we were hurried through customs, past the guards. I was standing in the airport in Amsterdam, sipping a glass of red wine, half lost in Van Gogh's swarm of colors, and it was there, brooding in a corner. I walked into the public toilet, thinking of W.B. buried in a mausoleum, and all his books and papers going to dust. And there it was, in that private moment, the same image obscene because it was built to endure time, stronger than their houses and altars. The seeds of melons, the seeds of gumbo and trade winds, headed to a new world. I walked back into the throng of strangers, but it followed me. I could see the path slaves traveled, and I knew when they first saw it, all the high gods knelt on the ground. Why did I taste salt water in my mouth? We stood in line for another plane, and then when the plane rose over the city, I knew it was there, crossing the Atlantic. Not a feeling, but a longing. I was in Accra again, gazing up at the vaulted ceiling, cathedral ceiling of the compound. I could see the ships at dusk rising out the law of amazing grace, cresting the waves. The governor stood on his balcony, holding a sword, pointing to a woman in the courtyard, saying, "That one, bring me that tall amber wench." And slave hands drag her to the center. Then they poured buckets of water on her, but she tried to fight. They pinned her to the ground. She was crying. They prodded her up the stairs, one step and then another. Oh yeah, she still had some fight in her, but the governor's power was absolute. He said, "There's a tyranny of language in my fluted bones. There's poetry on every page of the good book. There's God's work to be done in a forsaken land. There's a whole tribe in this one, but I'll break them before they're in the womb, before they're conceived, before they're even thought of. Come up here, don't be afraid, up here to the governor's quarters, up here where the laws are made. I haven't delivered the head of Pompey, of John the Baptist on a big silver tray, but I own your past, present, and future. You're special. You are not like the others. Yes, I'll break you with fists and cat o' nine. I'll thoroughly break you head to feet, a sister. I'll break you most dearly with sweet words. Blue dementia. In the days when a man could hold a swarm of words inside his belly, nestled against his spleen, singing, in the days of night riders, when life tongued to read, till blues and sorrow song call out of the deep night, another man done gone, another man done gone. In the days when one could lose oneself, all up inside love that way, and then moan on the bone, till the gods cried out in someone's sleep. Today, already, I've seen 3 dark-skinned men discussing the weather with demons and angels, gazing up at the clouds and squinting down into iron grates along the 5 streets of luminous encounters. I double-check my reflection in plate glass and wonder, am I passing another Lucky Thomason, a Marion Brown, cornered by blue dementia, another dark-skinned man who woke up dreaming one morning, then walked out of himself dreaming? Did this one dare to step on a crack in the sidewalk and turn a midnight corner and never come back home? Or did he try to stare down the look that shoved the blade into his heart? I mean, I know something about night riders and catgut. Yeah, honey, I know something about talking with ghosts. Let's read a few last poems. Okay, I'm going to read a poem titled The Body Remembers. I stood on one foot for 3 minutes and didn't tilt the scales. Do you remember how quickly we scrambled up an oak, leaning out over the creek? How easy to trust the water to break our glorious leaps. The body remembers every wish one lives for, a dozen, or even horror. Our dance was a rally in sunny leaves. Then quick as anything, Johnny Dixon was up, opening his wide arms in the tallest oak, waving to the sky. And in the flick of an eye, he was a buffalo fish gig, pleading for help, voiceless. Bigger and stronger, he knew every turn in the creek past his back door. But now he was cooing like a brown dove in a trap of twigs. A water-honed spear of kindling jutted up as if it were the point of our folly and humbug on a Sunday afternoon ride. 5 of us carried him home through the thicket, our feet cutting a new path, running in sleep. Years later, we were young as condom balloons, flowering crabapple trees in double bloom, and had a world of baleful hope and breath. Does Johnny run fingers over the thick web on his belly? Days we were stilled invincible. Sometimes I spend half a day feeling for bones. Humming a half-forgotten ballad on a park bench a long ways from home. The body remembers the berry bushes heavy with sweetness, shivering in the lonely woods. But I doubt it knows words live longer than clay and spit of flesh as rock-bottom love. Is it easier to remember pleasure, or does hurt ease truest hunger? Our summer, rocking back and forth, uprooting what's to come. The shadow of the tree weighed as much as a man. I think this will be the last poem. Okay. Poem titled Islands. An island is one great eye gazing out, a beckoning lighthouse searchlight, a wishbone compass, or counterweight to the stars. When it comes to outlook and point of view, a figure stands on a rocky ledge, peering out towards an archipelago of glass on the mainland. A seagull's wings touching the tip of a high wave out to where the brain may stumble. But when a man climbs down from its long, craggy lookout, we know it is truly a stubborn thing and has to leaf through pages of dust and light, through pre-memory and folklore, remembering fires roared down there till they pushed up through the seafloor and plumes of ash covered the dead, shaking the weight whirls away, and silence filled up with centuries of waiting. Sea urchin, turtle, and crab came with earthly know-how, and one bird arrived with a sprig in his beak. Before everything clouded with cries, a millennium of small deaths now topsoil and seasons of blossoms in a single sea. Light edged along salt-crusted stones across a cataract of blue water, and lost sailors' parrots spoke of sirens, the last words of men buried at sea. Someone could stand here contemplating the future, leafing through torn pages of St. Augustine or of the prophecies by fishermen, translating spur and folly down to taproot, the dreamy-eyed boy still in the man, the girl in the woman, a sunny forecast behind today, but tomorrow's beyond words. To behold a body of water is to know pig iron and mud wet. Whoever this figure is, he will soon return to dancing through the aroma of Dagger's log, ginger lily, and bougainvillea between chants and strange struck till gourds rally the hill in air, and the church steeple birds fly sweet darkness home. Whoever this friend or lover is, he intones redemptive harmonies. To lie down in remembrance is to know each of us is a prodigal's son or daughter, looking out beyond land and sky, the chemical and metaphysical beyond fallen and turning water wheels in the colossal brain of damnable gods, a eureka held up to the sun's blinding eye, born to gaze into fire. After conquering frontiers, the mind comes back to rest, stretching out over the white sand.